Hey guys, I just wanted to do a video. I haven't done a DVD update or anything in a while, and honestly I don't have a whole lot right now. Just preparing for Christmas and everything. I really haven't been, buying a lot, and I only got a few things around Black Friday, so I may hold off until I get a little bit more. But in the meantime, I got an idea from a couple of people. One person just messaged me earlier today, but I'd actually talked about doing this with somebody a couple months ago when I did my Halloween watch list, and what it's going to be is a Christmas watch list, or a holiday watch list, but I just thought I'd show some of the things that I've been thinking about watching during this Christmas season, and I want to give like a combination of several different kinds of things, not just like true holiday movies, but just things that remind me of this time of year, winter, and then also Christmas holiday season. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the drama comedies that I like to watch this time of year. So we'll get started on that. This is one of my all-time favorites, and I really enjoy this movie. It's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I really think this is one of the best John Candy movies out there. Steve Martin is really good in this because he's really dry, and really, like sarcastic and stuff. And so this has just always been a favorite of mine. I know there's a newer edition of this that I don't have, so it might be a little bit better. I don't know what kind of features it might have. This has almost nothing. But yeah, this is a really good John Hughes classic. And if you get a chance, this is a good one to check out. Most of you guys have probably seen that. Here's another John Hughes classic that I always watch, and I have for years and years and years, probably a good 20 years, like since it very first came out of VHS. But it's Christmas Vacation. To me, this is probably one of Chevy Chase's best movies, and this is definitely my favorite of the Vacation series. Some people like the original Vacation the best, but I always like Christmas Vacation. I really think this is probably one of the more popular Christmas movies that I've got on this, so probably a lot of you guys have seen this, but Christmas Vacation is one I like to watch a lot. This is another one that I always mention. I think I mentioned it last year on Blu-ray, but I ended up having to get rid of that Blu-ray, and I just bought it on cheap DVD. But this is the Home for a Holiday, the Home Alone Family Fun Edition. Home for the Holiday. That's the next movie I got coming up, by the way. Home Alone Family Fun Edition. I always like this movie, and like the other ones, it's a John Hughes movie. He does a lot of good movies for the Christmas season, but I always thought this was one of my favorites that is kind of not really spoken about in the sense of John Hughes, what he did with it. He had written it and not directed it, but as far as stuff like this goes, this is really good. It's my favorite of the Home Alone series, is the original. And this one is Home for the Holidays. I've got this slip case that was put on a few years ago when I got it. This movie here is one of my all-time favorites. This is a really good one for, it's funny, but it's more of like a drama. And it's definitely probably my favorite Holly Hunter film. Usually I like this one or Once Around with Richard Dreyfuss. I really like that one too. This is a really good one for people that, kind of understand the craziness of the holidays as far as getting together with your family and just how nutty it is to try to cram all these people in a house and everybody trying to get along, and just the pressure and, the amount of stress that comes with the holiday season. So if you've never seen Home for the Holidays, that's definitely a really good one to watch if you get a chance. I really like that one. This is another one that's just recently became a favorite of mine, and that's Will Ferrell's Elf. You guys have probably all seen this. This is actually a really funny movie. It's not your typical Will Ferrell, but at the same time, he's really good in this. I would just think that most people at this point have probably seen this movie, but if you haven't, it's actually probably better than what most people would think if they hadn't seen it. This is a movie that I've watched a lot during other times of the year besides Christmas, but it is a really good Christmas movie, and it's Bad Santa, or as the unrated DVD is called, Badder Santa. To me, this is one of those movies that it hit me during a weird time in my life. I went to go see this at the movie theater several years back when it came out, and I was not expecting it to be as funny as it was, and I was really just blown away. This is either John Ritter's last film or one of his last films, which is just kind of a thing in itself. I always think about that when I watch this. And Billy Bob Thornton is probably his funniest in this movie. But as a whole, this movie is probably not that different from what I saw at the theater. It doesn't seem that much. The unrated version doesn't seem that much different, but it is really, really good. And the regular version of Bad Santa is probably harder to find than Badder Santa. I seem to see the unrated version everywhere I go. The movies I'm going to do next are some of the more family, oriented Christmas type movies, and this is a favorite of mine also. It's Nightmare Before Christmas. This is one of the few movies that I find equally fun to watch on Halloween or Christmas. It's got an odd way of, like splitting the difference just because of the story. And, I saw this actually at the theater when I was in high school, and I've always enjoyed a lot of earlier Tim Burton movies, but this particular movie is probably one of the few claymation movies that would come along during that time, because right after this became the role of like Toy Story and stuff, and like CGI became like a big thing, and you just don't see as many of these claymation style movies now because of how popular this is. This led to other ones, but at the time this came out, this wasn't near as popular as it is now. It seems like this got a big cult following as the years went on, but this is a really good movie for like children and adults that kind of like dark sort of things, just kind of like that gothic style that Tim Burton does. Speaking on that, this movie is actually really similar in certain ways, but this is Edward Scissorhands, and this isn't specifically a Christmas movie, but it does deal with a certain section of the movie in Christmas, and it kind of takes place during the winter time, so it always reminds me of Christmas. But yeah, it's got that that unique Tim Burton feel, and as you'll notice as I go through a few of these other ones, Tim Burton kind of reoccurs in a lot of my things that have to do with something that would be similar to his style. So as Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands, I've got I think one or two more maybe in my list. This is one that I got recently, and technically it's more like television than it is movie, because these were originally aired on TV, but they were like a TV movie. So I was going to show this. This is actually my girlfriend's, but I got this for her as an early Christmas present. We watched this this past weekend. We watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is really pretty funny. I was surprised how quirky this movie is, and that it still kind of holds, its own, considering how old it is. It's like, like 45 years old or something crazy. But it's actually really good. But as a whole, the claymation style is something that I probably like more than some people do. So you might just check that out on Netflix or something, see what you think about it. It's probably not for everybody, and it's probably more for older people than younger people, or for really younger people. Like small children might really like it more than people a little older than that. This is another classic from my childhood that I really, really like, and it's A Christmas Story. And I think most people can relate to this. This is one of those things that always shows up on people's list. There's not much I can say about this, but this is one of the few movies that actually I can just watch every year and it never really gets on my nerves. But Christmas Story, that's a classic. And the next few movies I'm going to do are more like the sci-fi horror movies, which I thought I would just give something a little bit different. Something that, might not directly be Christmas, but, it could be a little bit. But this one, Gremlins. To me, this is one of those movies that, you can watch any time of year, but it has a certain Christmas feel to it just because of the time it takes place, around the holidays. So I would say that, if you've never seen Gremlins, I mean, I can't imagine very many people that hadn't seen it, but if you hadn't seen Gremlins, you can watch this anytime, but it's a really good time to watch it, This is another one that's just strictly kind of more of like a winter movie than it is, Christmas, but The Thing. This is one of my all-time favorite sci-fi horror crossover movies, because this is probably one of the best crossover horror sci-fi movies, except for maybe Alien. Some people prefer that movie. But The Thing is just an amazing movie, and there's not much I can say that, you guys, if you're a John Carpenter fan, this is going to be on your list of favorite movies. But this is one of the few movies that has amazing special effects, and it really went out of its way to make those special effects work on camera in bright daylight. A lot of movies, would kind of show things or cut away from them, and make you use your imagination. This actually surprisingly shows most of the special effects, and John Carpenter was going for that when he made this movie. And if you've ever seen any of his interviews, where he talks about how difficult it is to do things like that, But yeah, this is an amazing movie. So The Thing, if you've never seen that, definitely check that out. This is one that was mentioned a lot on Kakalaki Movies, just because they were talking about how good it looks in high definition. It's 30 Days of Night, and this is just an amazing winter movie. You know, if you're looking for more of something of like a sci-fi, you know, horror style, this one takes place almost all in the snow because of the location and vampires and, you know, at night. But if you've never seen this movie, this is definitely one that you should check out. It's very interesting. It's based on a graphic novel. And yeah, so that's 30 Days a Night. This is one that's kind of got a similar feel as far as it, you know, everything's in the snow. But this is Dead Snow. This is a Nazi zombie movie. The one I've got here in this red case is the Region 2. I actually got this right before it came out in the U.S. But this is probably, I think, one of the few foreign, I think this might be the only foreign movie I've got on here. But yeah, if you've never seen this and you're into zombies, this is definitely a really interesting one. It's got kind of a funny feel to it also. It's just really well made. But yeah, Dead Snow. This is one that's more of like probably one of the more disturbing ones I've got on the list as far as horror goes, and that's Black Christmas. This one actually hasn't been opened. I used to have this on VHS a long time ago. And this movie is, I don't know, it's just it's a really eerie kind of movie. There's really nothing about it that's, you know, over the top, insane, or anything like that, other than it just feels like it could really happen, you know. And I've always kind of felt that way with Black Christmas. It's a little scarier than it should be, just for the sheer fact that you can use your imagination and just think to yourself that, you know, Black Christmas could really happen. And it feels very real during certain parts. So yeah, if you've never seen Black Christmas, you can check that out. Definitely not a feel-good Christmas movie, but yeah. Here's another one that I've got. This is getting kind of hard to find. This is the re-release of Silent Night, Deadly Night. And this is the one that's 3, 4, and 5. I've got another one here. This is it. I'll just show it too. And it's 1 and 2. This one, 1 is probably the best. I would say most of the other ones are just kind of generic rip-offs. I mean, they reuse the same ideas over and over again. They're all fairly fun. There's like cheesy, you know, horror. And, but yeah, that's what kind of makes them good at the same time. So if you've never seen Silent Night, Deadly Night, then you definitely check these out. I would say, you know, if you can find this one's really hard. This one's getting harder to find, but this is really the one to find if it's, you know, out there anywhere. I don't even know if you can get this on Netflix, but that's an interesting one to watch. And then the last one is probably something that could go on any kind of horror list, period. And that's The Shining. And what I like about this one is during this time of year, I actually watched this a few years ago when there was a big ice and snowstorm. And it's, I don't know, there's something very claustrophobic about this movie. And I was snowed in at the time I watched it. And I was very surprised that it got underneath my skin in a weird way, kind of like you do when you watch a movie like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning by yourself and it's just too dark, it's too quiet. You know, you turn off the TV, you get done watching a movie and there's just something eerie. Surprisingly, when I was snowed in, that left that kind of existing feeling on me for a long time. So, I don't know, it was very uneasy. Yeah, and I got a couple more I'm going to show here, and then I'll do something else. But this is another good one to watch that's kind of Christmas and kind of not. It's Batman Returns. I've always liked this one. This is another one from the Tim Burton series that kind of has that same kind of dark, gloomy, you know, snow-covered Christmas that he kind of does. But that's a really good one if you like the classic Batman series. And then I got one more that just like a good action movie. If you haven't seen it in a while, it's a good one to watch either Thanksgiving or Christmas. It seems like to me. It's got that same kind of feel, especially if you travel a lot, and that's Die Hard, the original Die Hard. No. Not the original Die Hard. Excuse me. It's Die Hard 2. I forget. Die Hard 1 is the one that's in the building, but Die Hard 2 is the one that takes place in the airport during the holidays. And this is what always reminds me of the holidays, is the way the movie starts off. The airport's packed and everybody's trying to travel and it's cold outside and airplanes are, you know, are being delayed and all that stuff. This is a good just action movie if you're wanting something that kind of just falls in with the, you know, the Christmas travel season. And then I'm going to jump into another part here. And I'll just say that the next section is going to be some of the movies that I would say are my favorite TV Christmas holiday shows, winter shows.